Episode number 216. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We have Superman number 23 and West Coast Avengers number 4. Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about these comics. And if you're expecting me to bring up Green Hornet, I'm not going to be bringing that up because it ended tonight. And we ended up clearing out that last stretch goal. It was pretty amazing. We hit it like in the last 5 minutes of the campaign, which was an additional story by Timothy Zahn. It's pretty cool. So before we get started, remember to give me that like, give me that subscribe if you can. And on top of that, let's jump into it. So this is by Philip Kennedy Johnson. This is the story of Lois Lane being Superwoman because she has Zod's powers. Because of all that absolute power thing that allowed all of these creatives, these writers, to come in and just shift everything around. You know, Jeremy Adams took Aquaman and gave him Mera's powers, which I'm still not a fan of. And now Lois has Zod's powers, of which I'm not a fan of. That whole absolute power thing, I didn't even collect it. I thought the whole story was stupid. And it's kind of messing with the whole timeline right now. So I'm not a fan of anything that's come out of Absolute Power, including this. So because there's so many super people, you could use Supergirl for this. There's already a Superwoman, which I don't even agree with that, with Lana Lang being Superwoman. We have Power Girl, and that's just the female side. That's without going into the male side. So there's no reason for it. The Superman family is already big enough without Lois being Superwoman. But here we are. We're in this anyway. And overall, I like the story. I just don't like the Lois part. So anyway, we have this time trapper guy, which is the future Doomsday. So can talk now. And he's like emaciated, so he's very, very thin as opposed to being the big guy. Now we have Jimmy Olsen, who is, of course, taking pictures and everything else, and he's dating Silver Banshee and doesn't realize that Lois is a Superwoman, so he's trying to take pictures of Superwoman, even though he works with her, and she is now the editor, by the way, of the Daily Planet. So we start out with this, battle going on with, Superman is teamed up with Doomsday right now to stop this alien force from taking him. Okay? So, meanwhile, Time Trapper stops time while this blast is going towards Jimmy. And he's basically warning her that she has to do something or else they're going to die. And he's trying to use that as leverage for her to come with him and show her stuff, but she's not buying it. And we have this image of the future that he's kind of showing her, but she's like, I'm not having it. I'm not going with you, no matter what you tell me. And then she goes, "Whoosh!" and she bitch slaps him in the face, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And she's being very stern. I'm not a big fan of the gloves, by the way. And on top of that, she basically has the costume from The Flash. And from the Supergirl from The Flash. But he says to her, "Fine, if you're going to be that way, I was going to give you a few seconds for you to be able to go in there and save Jimmy, but now I'm not. I'm not going to do anything for you at all." So I don't know if that was the right move on her part. So she tries to push them out of the way of the blast and doesn't really succeed. Meanwhile, Superman is fighting this entity guy who he changed. So he looked like the original Doomsday. He was in that costume from the original Doomsday in the green before he ripped out of it. And I guess because they had him captured at one time, and he says he destroyed my whole civilization, he needs to go, and I think they were trying to turn him into a weapon or whatever else. Anyway, it turned Superman's, antenna on where this was not a good idea to team up with these people, and instead a battle took place. So that's what the guy looks like. This just beam of energy, and they're just fighting, and it's not working out real well for Superman at this point. And he turns on Time Trapper. Everybody's turning on Time Trapper, and he's like, just go ahead, beat the crap out of me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. and since when does Lena Luthor have green hair? I know she's part of Brainiac, but she didn't have green hair before. But the artwork on this from Ken Mora here, or Dan Mora, is like off the chain, man. He does such a look at that page. Look at how nice that is. That's just amazing. And but keep in mind that her cape is ripped at this point. Okay, just keep that in mind. So anyway, we have Luthor here who does not remember who he is, which again, I don't like that plot point. And I don't really like the beard on him either. But anyway, he created this gun, and we're going to see what it does in a second. But he's like, you better get Superman out of the way. And she zooms off and gets him out of the way. And she's like, sorry, honey. That's pretty funny. So he blasts Doomsday and the bad guys, or whatever the aliens are. And he ends up shrinking them. He used the shrinking thing of Candor and bottles them like Brainiac does. And he says, that was a good idea. We're just wondering what the ramifications are going to be of this. Because maybe we jumped the gun here without really knowing what the end result would be. And I think that's a really good point. So anyway, Jimmy is in the hospital. Silver Banshee is not having any of it here. And again, she doesn't realize who Lois is at this point. And she's kind of taking her wrath out on them. So she's like, you have now made an enemy of me because it's all your fault. And Superman's like, no, let her go. Let her go. We'll deal with this. Meanwhile, now we finally get to Zod showing that he has no power. But meanwhile, he crushes the guy's head. I guess he's got power enough to crush somebody's head. I don't know. So anyway, we're back to Time Trapper here. And then we have these people show up through this portal or whatever else. I have no idea who these people are. But yeah. So really good stuff, I think. I think it's, so far, it's a really, if you want a good Doomsday story, I think this is pretty good. Considering Doomsday was only created just to fight him and kill him. Really good stuff. But I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'm excited to get Lois back to normal and have, because Zod's coming, and Zod's going to get his powers back. So that's exciting too. So I like the Lois thing just for the fact that I know a battle's coming with Zod. All right, so there's that. Make a good film or television show? Absolutely. So far, this is really good. I mean, yes, I don't know where it goes yet, and has to be a lot of setup for Doomsday correctly, not like they did in Superman v Batman, which was an awful movie, back to the Snyderverse. But if they do it correctly, yeah, this could be totally a good setup for whatever this is. I don't really understand the whole Time Trapper thing and stuff like that. All right, so let's jump into the Avengers of the West Coast variety. So this is a filler issue. I think I'm just going to get this till 6, and that's it. Because it's by Jerry Duggan, who's very hit and miss. And I really, really don't like what they did with Firestar here. I grew up with Firestar, with Spider-Man and his amazing friends, with her and Iceman and Spider-Man. And now we have Tony and Rhodey creating this West Coast Avengers so they can kind of rehabilitate villains, which is this guy Blue Bolt, who I do not like this character in the least. I think he's very annoying. I don't like his look. I don't like this. Really nothing about him I do like. And then you have Ultron on the team, which I really hate. It makes absolutely no sense. And I think that Firestar in here is completely justified and correct. And then you have Spider-Woman, but you have good Ultron, you have bad Ultron because they separated. Yeah, that's why I think I'm done with this after a couple more issues. So Ultron, the other Ultron in here is creating cyborgs from people that are dying, and he's created this like church for himself, and he's got them all holed up. And meanwhile, you have the other Ultron trying to help the Avengers, right? So here you have Firestar. They're trying to tell Firestar, no, you can trust this Ultron, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, I'm not having it. And Tony says, well, let me tell you what the story is. So we have the Wayback Machine, where they have a flashback of this guy who looks like Warlock. I don't know why they made him look like a beefed-up Warlock from the New Mutants, but that's what they've got. But anyway, I guess he has this kind of portal machine behind them. It needs to be destroyed. And this guy's taking pretty much every hit they've got. The machine's going to create a mini black hole and destroy the planet. That's what that is. I forgot there for a second. Mostly because this is totally forgettable. So Ultron shows up and says, look, I'm going to open my source code to you, Tony, so you can take a look and know that I'm not here to do any damage to it. He obviously can look very closely at a bunch of code and know exactly what he's looking at in 5 seconds. I know he's good, but that good? But anyway, Ultron's like, I'm going to destroy the device, but if I destroy the device, it's the black hole is going to open up, so I really can't do that. So I have to destroy it in a certain way where it creates a tiny, tiny black hole, and it eats itself. So that's the storyline there. It opens up. He tries to get out. He tells Tony and everybody else to get away, which they do. But now he's getting drawn in along with the Warlock ripoff. So what he does is he says, oh, Ultron needs more propulsion. So he sends his armor out to connect with Ultron. And it gives Ultron the ability, that's why you see Ultron in the red right there. It gives him the propulsion to get away from the black hole. And he gives him the armor back, and he says, well, I can join you. And Absorbing Man says, fuck no, I'm out of here. There's no way I'm teaming up with Ultron. And that was, as far as I'm concerned, that's the right attitude to have. He's like, I'm going back to jail. So anyway, they get a call from Spider-Woman, who is doing reconnaissance. And he says, did my story kind of win you over for Ultron? And Firestar, who looks nothing like Firestar is supposed to look. There she looks like a child. I don't know what the hell's going on. And she's like, no, you didn't persuade me in the least. And she's drinking. And Rhodey's like, I can't believe you're drinking in front of Tony. Hasn't it been long enough that the guy people can take drinks around him? Has he not been around the parties or anything else? But anyway, she drinks anyway, and she has, this is one of the other things I don't like. They gave her PTSD, they gave her an alcohol problem. It's like, whenever Marvel doesn't know what to do with people, they give her an alcohol problem. Ultron says, I'm going to, show myself as an Avenger, and he puts these pads on himself, and Tony decides that he's going to etch an A into him. It's just not selling me, man. And he's like, da da da, look, I'm going to do a hero pose. Woohoo! Look at me with my A and my thing. And she even points out, she's like, yeah, the shoulder pads aren't selling me, and I'm out of here. So anyway, that's the extent of that. And he tries to go after her, and Blue Bolt says, no, man, all of your silver spoons are literally pouring out of your mouth. I'll handle it. And Rhodey's like, what are you doing? He's like, I didn't say nothing. So he goes up into the air to talk to her. He basically says, hey, I know that you have problems. And she turns the alcohol bottle into a sphere. He said he's basically telling her he believes in her and she can go get through this, blah, blah, blah. And then she kisses him. And he pulls away and says, no, man, I can't do this. I also don't like the short hair on her. It doesn't really work. He says, no, I can't do this because, I want to get out of prison and hooking up with you is going to make it look weird. So I'm not going to do it. But maybe after I'm out of prison, we can do it. But also, her costume looks so bad. And so does his costume look so bad. I mean, he looks like a dreadnought from G.I. Joe. Awful. Just awful. She looks at the ball. That's it, man. That's it. There's no meat to this at all. There's just no meat to this series at all. It's just cover. That's all it is. There's no hook to this thing. It's just there's nothing here. And that's why I'm like, there's not enough for me to get hooked on this book. And no, will it make a good film or television show? Not at all. Not at all. And then Superman, as I said, yeah, I like where this is going. I think Phil Kennedy Johnson do a good job. I just want to get her out of being. I want to get her out of being Superwoman, and I want Lex back. But these are all things that you kind of take hiccups on because it makes your story different. And then you reset it. So I get that. So we're in the reset mode, I guess, over the next few issues. But yeah, good stuff. All right, remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. Remember to ring that bell, ding, ding. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next episode. All right, bye-bye.